Why do I feel like every time we go on a date, it involves a ladder?
Oh, I think that's just because I hold you in such high regard.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll let that one pass. We are monitoring closely every week our persimmon tree. It is our latest fruiting tree, which makes it a lot of fun.
Heidi's right. This tree is just beautiful in the fall. We love that in November, late October, November, we get dozens and dozens of red fruit, even sometimes after the leaves have left the tree. Looks like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
It
And
does.
it's
So
really
cute.
very tasty fruit. I remember when this tree was just a little twig, just a handful of years ago. And now what is it, 15 feet or so tall?
It is, and so abundant. We get dozens and dozens, sometimes all at the same time. So that's maybe the biggest challenge about a persimmon tree, but we try to still monitor it to see what ones are ripe on the early side so that we can start picking them.
We're going to discuss persimmon trees in this video, this variety specifically, the good things about it, and some of the challenges. I'll be honest with you, when I first purchased this persimmon tree, when it was just a little stick at a nursery, I wasn't sure what I was getting into. I was just looking for some exotic plant to grow up in my food forest, and I thought that sounded interesting, but I didn't really know much about persimmons. But I was so pleasantly surprised. After just a year or so of being in the ground in these fertile conditions in my garden, it was already producing good sized fruit. Not much, but enough where it was very encouraging for me. So I kept on watching it, and over 4 or 5 years, it's grown to be very tall and produce a lot of fruit. Now, the fruit itself is really interesting because it starts in about April or early May as a little green flower with a knob on it. It's not a showy flower, but there are lots of them on the tree. And that knob will continue to grow. It's the fruit, and it will go from green to like a greenish yellow all the way into orange colored, looking like a tomato. Now, at that point, it's still very hard and not edible. One thing about persimmons is when they're not ripe, they have a lot of what's called tannins in them. Tannins are a chemical or a material, and they come out in the ripe persimmon like looking black on the skin. That's why I don't really eat the skin. But the tannins create a taste in your mouth that's like a cotton mouth. It's very numbing and it's very unpleasant. So you have to make sure that you wait until the fruit is red, really red, almost like a pinkish red. And that happens typically in October and early November. One last thing about this variety of persimmon. It is an Asian variety of persimmon. It is not the American persimmon. The difference is quite stark, actually. Asian persimmons don't get as big, but their fruit is bigger. American persimmon's fruit is very, very small, almost not worth eating. It also has more tannins. It's very difficult to find anything worthwhile in eating American persimmon fruit. It's great for wildlife, though. So if you're interested in getting squirrels and birds to come to your area, you may want to plant an American persimmon. But I recommend for use in your homestead and on your farm and use for eating it yourself, I would definitely recommend the Asian varieties.
We've had fun learning about this particular kind of tree. There were some unique things about it as it started to grow and mature. And one thing that it does is it tends to lose some of its fruit a little bit early in the fruiting season. And we wondered, was something wrong? Was the tree diseased? And then as we learned more, kind of like peaches and other fruiting trees, they get to the point where they've got to protect themselves. So if any particular branch is just too heavy, then some of them will fall to the ground. And they're not likely to be ripe yet, but that's for the protection of the tree itself. So this one, you can see, this is the top of it, and this is the bottom of it. It's hanging way down. So it also is still pretty heavy, but it doesn't show any severe signs of stress that it might break. So what we tend to do at this stage is start to snip off just the very ends, like here. It came out a good bit further, but we were able to snip off this part that wasn't going to be needed to help with the weight of each branch.
This is the base of the persimmon tree. When it was young and I was just planting the sapling, I planted it inside this tire. That was just to isolate it from the outside soil. I was able to concentrate on making sure the soil inside this tire was fertile and moist, adding organic matter, until the tree itself got established. Now, of course, the roots are far below the surface and far outside the tire. What I've found though is that persimmons are very easy keepers. You don't really have, once they're established, you don't have to do a lot of extra watering or any extra fertilization. Make sure that you prune it back in the fall. It can be pruned back pretty heavily because it grows so fast. You can prune it back about a third in the fall and winter after it is hibernating for the season. But as far as extra water or extra fertilization, it's an easy keeper.
Ours is a Japanese persimmon, so it starts out orange and it becomes more reddish pinkish and soft as it ripens. This is a lot like the feel and consistency and color of a ripened tomato. So this one was ready, it was soft enough, and so we picked this today. If you look at this stem circle, this is a very hard woody type stem, and so it does not break off of the stem. It actually tends to pull away this whole part, so the rest of the flesh just drops to the ground, and then it'll be ruined because they're so soft. So you want to avoid that by picking them when they're ready before they fall. That's the key. You find the little stem between the branch and this stem circle, and that's where you're going to want to use your snippers and clip right there. Then you are going to keep the fruit intact. This won't pull away from the flesh, and your fruit will be perfect. One more bonus for us, we planted this persimmon in our garden. So it has provided a tremendous extra benefit. Now that it's gotten taller, it provides shade. So if you need some relief from summertime heat, want to plant some plants around it, or have some shade-loving plants specifically that you want to plant right near it, or for us, these girls love it. It shades this part of our chicken tunnels. So something extra to think about.
We've brought a couple of our very ripe persimmons into the kitchen. We're going to harvest the pulp right now. And you do this the same way whether you're making jam or jelly, whether you're making bread or any dessert. You want to cut into the persimmon and scrape the pulp away from the skin. The skin isn't really that edible. You can eat it, but it has these black tannin marks on it. That's where that tannin material that we mentioned earlier collects. These are very soft. They're almost like a jelly-filled soap bubble. So when you cut into them, you want to use a serrated knife that makes it a little easier for you. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. If the stem and the core of the persimmon is still intact, just use your knife to cut around it and pull it out. Then gently cut into the fruit so that you're able to lay it out flat with the flesh facing upward and the skin against the cutting surface. There are usually 3 to 5 developed seeds in a ripe persimmon, and you will want to locate those and cut them out as well. They are often enveloped in small fleshy pockets of pulp, so they can be tricky to hold on to. Once your fruit is prepared, take the edge of a spoon or a small plastic scraping tool like this one and scrape the pulp from the skin, separating it into a pile. It will take several passes to get most of the pulp to separate, and the motion should allow you also to collect the skin pieces to discard with the core and the seeds.
The pulp for one persimmon for me isn't going to be enough for what I need. So we will gather this up and put it in a jar in the fridge. And then the next couple persimmons that come ripe, we will also prepare the pulp and then I'll use all of that. My favorite thing is persimmon bread. Think banana bread, but the persimmon is the fruit instead of the bananas. It's so moist and flavorful, and persimmons are naturally sweet, so that makes them perfect for bread and pastries.
And because of the sticky sweetness of persimmons, it's also great to make candy. I have this great recipe that I make with a dehydrator and a persimmon with just a little bit of the skin on it, and you can roll that in a little bit of powdered sugar. It's fantastic for stay-at-home kids or around the holidays for sweet treats like that. It's fantastic.
So give persimmons a try. You may want to pick up a few at the store to see if you like the taste, but we really highly recommend growing them, cultivating the trees yourself, because there's such an abundance from them and very much worth it. Have a great day.